Reverend Crystal Cox, Universal Church of Light, also known as Goddess Church. And I just want to give you an overview of some of the rabbit holes we've been going down today, and for you to go and research stuff. Some of this stuff I've researched for decades, but who cares? It's like I just started. There's all new information. It's very, very exciting. Okay, have you looked into the Tartarian stuff? If you haven't, get after it. Okay, it's fucking awesome. I try not to cuss in these. I start right out in the first 2 seconds, okay? All right, so I've lit the candles with intentions of raising the vibration of Mother Earth and her people. And, see, can you see the candles on the floor? Well, then I'm going to blow them out. Are you ready? Okay, we're going to blow out candles with the intention of healing you. Isn't this a neat candle holder? Okay, or I could hold it. I could use it as a microphone. So today, what we're going to talk about is the high advanced society that I didn't come from, because I was a hillbilly from Montana. Oh, no. All right, this is a wish for you. Peace, love, healing. I started this video with a different intention, but this is where spirits led me. It's a healing and a blessing for you. When you light a candle with intention, the sacred flame carries that energy. The fire is so amazing. I really notice the difference when I know that I have the fake candles and I love them. You know, like up here and, well, just trust me, I got them. And I was watching one night in the dark, and then Spirit just downloaded a bunch of information about the flame. When you light the flame in your healing work, that it brings in an energy and it carries an energy, which now is probably more to do with the Torridial field and your intention and all that. So my intention with this candle is to light the way for you into this next stage. No fear, high vibration, high frequency. If you own your thoughts, they can't feed off of you. Okay, when the voices come in that try to berate you and put you down, you just tell them to fuck off. And you do that by ignoring them. Your focus is your magic wand. Okay? The Tartarian information is not necessarily reminded me of all this, but it's so inspiring and so validating. Anyway, this video is going to be about a whole bunch of different topics for you to research and go down the rabbit hole. Or who knows what I'll ramble on about. But obviously you like Reverend Crystal Cox rambling, or you wouldn't be here. All right, so the intention of this flame is for your highest and best good, and to give you the strength to be who you really are, and not let anyone else in your life, I got to take care of other people. Oh my gosh, it'll hurt them if I leave them. It'll hurt them if I tell them I don't like spaghetti, or I don't like the way that they dress, or that I want to change this or that about me. It'll hurt them. This is for you to have the strength to not have that in your life, okay? To remove those people and to be your true, authentic self, okay? This is for you to awaken your human Taurus. Awaken the energy, okay? Tuning forks, intention, focus, learning more about all of these topics that you may have previously studied, but with a renewed vigor, because it matters now. Because now we can actually move that energy differently. We're in a denser, we're in a way less dense than when I first learned about this stuff, like 30 years ago. Anyway, I'm going to put this candle down now because, it's time. Are you ready? I love you. With this flame, I set the intention of the highest frequency possible to be carried to anyone who sees this video, out from this house, this church, out to as far as it can reach. Every person everywhere on the internet, any vibratory field or any torus that picks up mine, the Mother Earth picking it up, that the intention is to raise the frequency of every human being in order to have their highest, happiest, most preferred life, pain-free, no dictators, no politicians, no wars, okay? You are self-contained. Your body can heal itself in your energy field, okay? So to give you the strength to know who you are, okay? You're self-contained. Control your thoughts. Do the things that you prefer to do. And you will create the reality that's a high vibrating reality for you. And this is what this intention is. Oops. It's still the same intention. Well, that's one strong motherfucker, right? Okay. All right. Cleansing the room that you're in. Cleansing the room that I'm in. The smoke goes out everywhere it can reach. And cleanses, cleanse. All right. Now let's put that down and let's get after it. Okay. So we have Tartarian information. I'm going to be studying tons of that on different directions. The Crystal Palace. Check that out. So, what was it? 900,000 square feet of crystal glass in the Crystal Palace of London. Okay, they destroyed it and built a smaller version. Okay, when they took over the Tartarian world. Okay, the Crystal Palace with that much glass. Okay, back then allegedly glass was hand blown and rolled, right? So and this place was what, built in a year or something. They couldn't have done it. Okay, it's impossible. And if they could do it then, why can't they do it now? They can't, okay? So these buildings like the Crystal Palace, the glass was crystal, okay? The fractal geometric shapes of the glass and of how they made it, bringing in all these colors, all these vibrations, everybody in it got a healing. Okay, so there's all these, research the Crystal Palace, London. They're all over the world, but London was the biggest one. And they brought through with their directed energy machine and destroyed. They all had fires conveniently, right? And they were separated from their resonators and researching the Tartarian technology. This building, just seeing it and thinking of it, I could feel it and I could feel in it, and it just made me cry. I just burst with these just happy emotions. I didn't feel sad that it didn't exist because I know it does. I know we're being prepared to move to the reality where this stuff is still there, where the Tartarians moved to. Okay, that's what I feel. And I feel excited about that because I always felt like the technology was taken away. Like, how in the world is it so archaic here, right? Really? Anyway, first of all, how did they make all those windows, right? 900,000 square feet of glass. So it's this place, right? And they got tables, people can come and, visit, eat, whatever. And I guess there's shops and different things. But there's trees. So there's tropical trees inside and there's a stream, right? And this is all part of the technology and the energy and the vibration, the sound vibration, light vibration to heal the people that went there. Okay? And I've always seen buildings like this in my... in the Palladian studies, but just in the kind of the healing places that I wanted to create. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to create it in this density, but I want it, right? And I could see these buildings, but this huge, right, glass building, the Crystal Palace, and inside is, it's like its own ecosystem. Got plants and trees and water and tables and shops and just this amazing place. Okay, I also researched the Winchester Castle or the Winchester Cathedral, okay, because the Catholic Church took over all of these buildings that the technology of the ether, the organs for healing the people, places for people to gather and get energy and get healing. It was just high vibrating with love and laughter and joy. And the bad guys took the buildings, took the technology, then they put the fear of God in everybody, and they put them in the building with fear. Then they hijacked their emotions of fear, used that in the building for their own energy. Okay, so they redirected the energy of love to fear. Okay, so every time you can say, what would love do? Okay, you choose love over fear. You are enacting that in your field. Okay, the Winchester Cathedral, my mind was blown. There's, to me, it seems like thousands of stained glass way up, and each one a different picture, each one different light, each one different fractals, and then geometric shapes everywhere, and the energy is just amazing, right? I was like, wow. And so some of the cathedral ones, they hijacked and then they redirected the energy, and they stole the energy of the people by putting fear in them. Okay, they put their beloved Jesus on a cross dying, right, and put fear in the people instead of teaching them what brother Jesus came here to do, and teaching them of their power and who they are as Jesus. And then they're like, well, Jesus started the church. The Catholic Church, a lot of the origin stuff say that Jesus built the church. No way. Jesus was about love. They hijacked it. They hijacked it all. Okay, so they took over all these cathedrals. And we've studied for decades about them being built on the ley lines. But the churches that took them over in the parasitic fashion of harvesting human energy weren't the ones that built them. They were built in love. They were built in a higher vibration and technology. And there's no way you can justify these buildings being built by people who were just stone and chisel, and they're in the 1800s. We don't have electricity. We don't have light. We're just, we're burning animal dung to stay warm. There's no way that this type of society could have built these buildings. Now, the Winchester Cathedral, the stained glass alone just blows your mind. Okay, so Google some pictures on that. I have all this stuff out there in my different things, but I don't know who you are or where you come from, or what avenue you're coming to this site. So these are just kind of keywords for you to research. Okay, so there's a lot of them, right? So Notre Dame, last year they brought a fire in, and then they're going to make it into something more for the public, right? So a lot of the old churches were selling, and there was a lot going on. I'm going to talk in a certain way for YouTube. I'm going to do some other stuff, as I said, on Reverend Crystal Cox Ramble, like, worldwide wrestling or whatever. I totally lost the plot. Anyway, forget all that happened. Okay. So all of these cathedrals that are built on the ley lines, that are harvesting the energy, they knocked out the waterways, they used directed energy machine, they melted buildings, they flooded everything. I don't know how it all works. I just know that it finally feels right to me that what I've always felt, that there's more here. We're not learning things, okay? It used to be really relevant to me about like cancer stuff. They're like, march for a cure, be afraid, give us your money, right? I'm like, there's been cures. There's always been cures. It's always been curable, okay? Plus it's made up. So they brought in disease. We don't naturally have disease, okay? We believe we have disease, so we create disease, okay? Check out the information on, that we're living in a holographic reality, okay? Vibrational medicine, okay? We touched the other day on Michael Tellinger and the Taurus stone and the TSA shutting it down. Research his stuff. Michael Tellinger, Tellinger. Now, he's got a lot of stuff out there about Anunnaki, stuff called One Small Town, I think, about, because we should be able to be self-governed in each town. People, grow food. People do the different things they want. We don't need a government that has, some new epiphany that they keep having, and then to control people, and they hand down a piece of paper, and then all these, even the unelected officials, just regurgitate it and control everybody. We don't need any of that. That's not a society that we need. That's a society of control. We don't need electricity in a wire. We never did. Okay? It's everywhere. It's corruption. It's the overlords that kept that from us. Okay? It's always been. Okay, so Michael Tellinger, the TSA Taurus stone stuff's interesting. his stuff on Anunnaki is very interesting. And then the One Small Town movement, I think is what it's called. And then I don't know if I talked about this the other day, but they talk about in the Tartarian information about the bee. Okay, so the bee levitates. Okay, the bee doesn't fly, it levitates. That technology's always been available to us, right? And it's so interesting. So research stuff about levitation, Tartarian levitation, bees levitation is how they, moves all these buildings and things, all these big bricks, and how they kind of did everything. We teleported and all that. And bees is especially interesting. My shamanic teacher was talking to me today about the vibration of the bees, and that their resonant is in honey, and that's why honey lasts forever. It kind of has its own, let's call this a torus field, and it resonates, and it stays forever. Okay, so it makes sense that they would want to eradicate bees, right? I mean, I was in forestry 30 years ago, and they were bringing in studies of hybrid bees. Okay, like artificial intelligence bees that they were interbreeding, and some of them were getting kind of angry, and they'd warn us about these bees that were out there, and then they'd kind of remove them and keep tweaking it. So, taking over the bee technology makes sense now. But anyway, research whatever you can soak up or be interested in about Michael Tellinger, the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki. Now, I heard about them in my early 20s. Had some really good music and some information. Some people say, oh, the Anunnaki are bad. Some people say the Anunnaki are good. Oh, the reptilians are bad. Oh, the reptilians are good. Oh, the humans are good. Oh, the humans are bad. But we're all of those. Okay, so really it's best to have a neutral opinion of all of them because we have all of that inside of us. Okay, so it's about controlling your thoughts. It's about controlling your own emotions. What you focus on creates, and it's fabulous. It's fascinating. It's overwhelmingly magical, and it's not supernatural. It's your natural way to focus on your energy field. Focus on rainbow fountain coming up, and in your heart, this rainbow just coming up and just flowing over and over and over, and this 0 point energy in your heart flowing over, and then like a fountain, right? And then where the fountain where it's open, like the torus is open, like a fountain's open, and then at the bottom the same thing. And you're just and you just feel the energy. What you focus on, it's kind of hard to believe, kind of the way we're taught. It's not logical to be like, oh yes, I just visualize something in my energy field and there it is. But it is, right? And you can see throughout your day where you put your focus. The minute you go into feeling sorry for someone or changing who you are for them or going, oh, I got to make sure she's okay or he's okay, or you can feel things attracting to you on that level. Yes, disease. Okay, so when you feed into that someone's issues on that, then you believe that these diseases exist. You believe that they can't change. You believe, I'm not saying don't help people, but doing it from a way of empowerment, and your energy field raises theirs, but not listening to their same story year after year, how bad it is. And well, my daddy treated me this way, and I had an addiction, and I had this and that in the past, and someone hurt me, and someone done me wrong, and so these are all the reasons I am the way I am now. No, the way you am now is because of the way you am now. This moment is about this moment. This moment is not the past. This moment is not the future. This moment is right now. It's either yours or you're giving your power to someone else. Okay? So when you enable them, you validate their thinking, you validate their belief, and that becomes part of your field, especially if you're sexual with them. And if they might be a little stronger than you, or if you consider yourself, I'm a giver, I'm an empath, then you're like dedicated to their life being better, even if your life's not, because you don't want to make changes in your life. So you have to get those people out of your field because they're part of your vibration. Okay, I don't know why I went on that tangent. But anyway, back to the Anunnaki. So I had studied some stuff. I thought the information was cool. I thought they were awesome. Then later I'd read stuff that seemed like they were dark. And then I was like, well, it's funny. The light got dark when I said that. Like, the darkness is here. But then I realized that it's just like humans, right? Some of us are dark, some of us are not. Any given moment, we can change based on our thoughts, our focus. So the information is amazing. The technology is amazing. But you know, things like the Mayans, the Hopi, or the Anunnaki, these civilizations that were, and probably the Tartarians, because I didn't study this direction on those before, but if they got any sort of wind, any sort of telepathy, psychic, any sort of reading that something's going to happen, they're all going to be wiped out, you think they'd have the technology to just move to another dimension, right? And so I believe there's a dimension where they're still doing their thing. But then some of them were caught here. So that's when you see the large skulls, the large skeletons, the feet, okay? And then you'll see these sculptures of giants. Some of them, they're not sculptures, they're giants, okay? So in my early 20s, I went to the Big Island of Hawaii before the separate fissures opened and the vlog, which is the sulfur fog from the volcano, got, you know, more thick, and I don't really enjoy it there now. It's just the smell. I can't, the sulfur smell is something I prefer. Anyway, so I went to Hilo and the Thurston lava tube, and then they got the lava trees. And I just remembered feeling the energy from the lava trees was so amazing. So the volcano hit. This was a big tsunami and all this. It had been like decades before or whatever, according to the history plaques there. And I remember putting my hands around and feeling the energy field of the trees that died in place. Okay, so the lava just petrified them immediately. And they're alive in there. And I had heard about a lot of people that this had happened to. For some reason, I'd flashed on Lot's wife and the stories of Babylon and turned it into a pillar of salt, you know. But those are probably energy machines, too. Anyway, I went on a bit of a tangent there. But so that's apparently what happened to some of these giants that were actually just regular people. They're Tartarians. They're living in their world. They're doing their thing. Okay, so when they got all wiped out, I would think the majority of them ascended to another reality. And so you hear that about the Hopi. You hear that about the Mayans. And the, I'll tell you about the Mayan stuff. I was in the Yucatan Peninsula in my early 90s too. But anyway, the previous thought has evaporated, so we're going to go into the Mayans. All right, so it was 1990. I know that because I used to collect these little liquor bottles of all kinds, and I got some over there, and then I got trouble at the border. Had to give them to the gal I was traveling with. They're like, you can't have these. You're not 21. So kind of the date kind of sticks to me that way. Blah. That was an interesting tangent. I know, right? So flew down to Cancun. And it was very different than it is now. But I first noticed just billboard after billboard after billboard, right? I was 20 years old, and that was weird. And then stayed a night in Cancun. The water was so amazing. I was in the sun for like 10 minutes, got burned right away. These are all just tangents, but I could feel, you can feel something different, right? So we went to the Isla Mujeres, the island of the women. The island of the women. I saw flying fish, all kinds of neat things. And then we went to Chichen Itza. So the Mayan ruins there, which now it's so interesting. The Tartarian stuff that I'm seeing is like Phoenician. They're saying Phoenician is Ireland. They're saying Ireland is the chosen people, that Ireland is the origin of the Bible. Research Tartarian Irish connections. Okay? I'm going to talk about that more in another video because each one of these are just little appetizers for you to go down. So, but Chichen Itza, the statue that's there, when I was there, like now it seems more Phoenician to me. And now I know that to be Irish. And now I know the history that they kind of all changed. But, and the statue that's there that is the same, that's different places. I didn't know that, right? And now in the last 30 years, they've uncovered tons more pyramids. But I climbed up some of them. I got some pictures on some of the pyramids with the tiny steps, right? And so what are these tiny steps? Are the Mayans like tiny people? And there was that. But now I know that the tiny steps is part to do with energy, collecting energy in the energy grid and energy movement. Now, they left a lot of these in place in these buildings, and they capture people's emotions even on stairs, right? All of these systems were about energy, about ether, okay? And they were for high vibration, for love, for good things, and they were hijacked. I don't know if you've had a chance to see the Ether, A-E-T-H-E-R by Marcia, forget her last name. I linked my last video about Tartaria to that. It's awesome. There's lots of videos out there. Discern, think for yourself. If it feels right to you, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, a lot of people are like, well, this is just baloney. Well, whatever. You know, I don't give a flaming flying fuck. For me, it's really fucking exciting because it ties together everything I've ever learned. And it ties together, I'm just going to be blunt here, my wanting to die since I was like 16. Because I didn't like it here. Okay? I got, you know, I went to college, I got my businesses, I got my this, like I'm playing along, but I'm like, there's gotta be more, right? I could feel my powers, I could remember things, and I couldn't believe that they weren't available anymore, and it made me not want to be here. So not necessarily suicidal or depressed, but just like, what the fuck and where am I, right? I woke up inside of some nightmare or some hell, right? Now I know that Mother Earth is beautiful, right? I love the laughter of children. I love the mountains. I love the animals. But in general, the way the system is, electricity, right? You couldn't do solar, you couldn't do wind, you couldn't until they could put it in a wire, right? You can't go feed the homeless or you're going to get in trouble. You can't use plants to cure, even though they've been used for thousands of years. You know, I knew, they're like, we're free! And I'm like, we're not, right? In my early 20s, I studied tons of stuff on alternative medicine and met people cured and helped people in curing. And I'm like, no, the FDA, the CDC, all of them, they lie, right? Lie, cheat, and steal. And I just was bummed. And then I got into fighting corruption, and then I got even more bummed because I'd bring like a stack taller than me of proof, documented proof of the side that I was reporting on. And then the law was just like, well, let's see, let's pick this law or this law. They just make up all this stuff and they just, whatever fits their agenda. And it was nothing to do with truth, nothing to do with justice, nothing to do with the law. And then once I realized what some people call the Mandela effect, that I'd shifted realities and that I can, it's like, well, first of all, there's no reason in dying because you're just going to wake up in another reality. You know, you got to go within. Every trigger, every program, perfecting your own self, perfecting your own consciousness. There was another part to that thought, but it has evaporated. Okay, so the human torus, research that on the human torridial field, Mother Earth's torridial field, using things like tuning forks to, you know, in your field, and then that makes your energy field kind of reset to its regular. Like this is a 128. My favorites turned out to be 111, but I have a whole bunch of them. I do energy healing. I don't know that the people that I do energy healing on here, or the people that come to my meetings and my sessions here at the church, if they watch these videos, but if you do, hi, I love you, but these really aren't for you because, you know, you've heard me say it already all before. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the tuning forks, this is a 128, in your biofield, whether it's the frequency that you need or not, it stimulates your field to reset itself to heal anything, okay? So I studied Kirlian photography in my 20s. Everything was in my 20s, right? That what happened. Kirlian photography. Okay, so where they would like cut a leaf in half, they do the photography, you could see the energy field of the other half of the leaf. Okay, where people would have a surgery and they'd have their leg removed, and then during the surgery the leg would be cut up behind them, and then so they always felt like they were sitting down on something, and then people would do energy healing and move the leg down because the energy field of the leg stayed. Now Kirlian photography shows this, and Kirlian photography shows your energy field. I was in forestry in my 20s. What you been doing since your 20s? I don't know. Sleeping. What was I going to say? Okay, so I go out on these forest units, right? And a lot of times they cut down dead trees, right? Okay. Well, when they cut down a live tree and I put my hand over the stump, I would feel the tree's energy field. And it so fascinated me. Okay? This was right around the same time where I realized that my consciousness, when I looked in the mirror, no matter who I saw, I know it's me. I knew that if I was a dog or a chair or a book or a glass, that whatever my consciousness was inside of, I knew that that was me. Okay? Okay, so I could feel the tree's essence. So I'm like, well, the tree's still here. And then as I studied energy fields in the Kirlian photography stuff and learned that the energy field is there before the object per se. Like our energy field moves on once we die. This body is inside of my soul, inside of my biofield. My biofield moves on, okay? It doesn't go away. This is just an expression and experience that I'm having, okay? And so the leaf is the perfect example, right? Because the half of the leaf isn't there, but the whole energy field is. So and all disease happens in your energy field first, right? Your thoughts, your focus. That's why like the tuning forks wake all this up. Reset yourself so that you're meant to heal. You're meant to, there's so much more that has human capability, but because they keep you in fear and they hijack your energy, you're not able to heal, and you're not able to do these things. They're magic, they're supernatural, they're witchcraft, they're voodoo, because they don't want you to know your power. Hence all the insane asylums, the witch trials, all that. The residue of the people that still knew how to do this stuff, they shut down. And they called it freedom and liberty. Not. The Statue of Liberty, by the way, rewind that into Tartarian stuff and goddess stuff. I've studied so much about goddess, Jesus and the Lost Goddess, occult, esoteric, Christianity, Catholic. I've studied all this stuff, right? Blah, 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 right? They've made it all up. You got to discern what feels right for you. And now I can see how, you knew that the Catholic Church were the biggest demons, right? Because, and if you're Catholic, well, anyway, you probably shouldn't be on this channel. That, even the stories, people still accepted the stories even how they were, right? So the Catholic Church comes to America and they have the doctrine of discovery and they give the right to slaughter all these people, okay? These are the brown people and these are the bison and and we are white and we are pure and we are of God and we're going to slaughter them all. And it's okay with people, okay? In the name of their God. And they're still listening to this Catholic Church, we're in control of everything, right? So you got the Vatican, Washington, D.C., London, right? And all those towers, right? All the electric grid that holds everybody and traps the souls and does all this crazy stuff with us. And whether people put it together or not, it's kind of hard to research all this stuff when you're on survival. When you have to feed your kids, you have to do everything to survive, right? Very few, I'm going to sound egotistical here, but are strong enough as myself to jump ship. And I probably wouldn't have if I had kids, but I'm lying, I would have if I'd had kids. I'd have just taught my kids that same way. So, well, there's that go. But to be strong enough to let go of every earthly thing, no matter what, but I've built a career, but I'm stable, but my mommy might not like me, and my daddy might not like me, and my lover might leave, and you have the courage to let go of all of that and spend time alone with Mother Earth, with nature, with your own mind, time in quiet, time in darkness, get to know who you are and become your own ownership of your own entity. And that's what we're striving for, sovereign individuals. And all those voices, they're still there, but you go down, you get less and less and less. And then you realize that they're just trying to, what Spirit showed me yesterday, to set a resonant tone in you. You know how sometimes you're just sitting there and you have this voice in your head that says, you should be doing something, or maybe I should go back to school. Maybe I should be indoctrinated here. Maybe I should get this job or that job, or maybe this or that because I'm a loser, or I feel fat, or I'm ugly, or I'm old, or I don't look quite right, or any of these that pop into your head and they feel bad. You entertain it at all, then that creates a resonant field, and then that grabs other things in your field that from past programs, in your DNA, or put upon you and different things that's in your field, and it grabs it from the environment. Then it starts attracting more of that to you, where you're like, too fat for anything, right? You're too ugly, you're too dumb, you're too poor to do anything. And that starts to build as soon as you entertain it. Like Abraham Hicks used to talk about, I used to, because I say used to because I don't really listen to it anymore, but the 17-second thing, right? So if you can change the thought into something higher vibrating, and stop, ask yourself, what would love do, right? Something like that. You're changing the energy field, and or you go, just take everything it takes just to go, that's not mine, and watch, kittens play or babies laugh, or, bring up something funny and change the resonant energy, and then your Taurus field will pick that up and resonate it. Okay, but if you buy into those voices at all that are putting you down or slamming you, then that's what resonates to you. All right. Let's go way back to the Anunnaki. So I really liked the name. I liked the information. And then later when I read negative stuff, I kind of turned away from it. But now I see the Anunnaki technology and stuff is kind of tied into all of this. So wherever all of this stuff came from, I know what feels good to me. I know what feels right to me. I know what resonates for me. Okay, and so the Tartarian information, the Torridial field, the ether, the waterways, the technology, the buildings, it feels so good to me because it makes sense of this life that the history didn't make sense. In grade school, high school, whatever, college, I didn't pay any attention to any of it. Okay, I just studied what I needed to study to pass the test, and then I go research my own stuff. In college, they taught us like 12 indicator plants of what the forest floor would be in 100 years, right? You got your basic plants that tell you if these plants exist, then in 100 years, this forest will be this certain type. Blah, 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 right? I learned 200 plants, wrote a book on a medicinal, edible, and the chemical makeups of every plant because I love it. I love learning. I love research. To me, college and school was always about dumbing down. Go to school, do the right thing. Okay, The wrestling coach is teaching us about Columbus today so that he can be the wrestling coach. He's just teaching us some dumb shit out of a book. I'm going to memorize it, photographic memory. I'm going to take a test and I'm going to get straight A's. I'm going to be so smart. But I'm going to hate it and I'm going to be forced to do it. And, if I was alive today, if I was a kid today, man, I'd be homeschooling. I always said I would have quit school at 16, got my GED, and went straight on to college or something else. But now I know college is just all about dumbing you down too, okay? 4 or 5 years in college, and then later you start learning stuff. So learning trades, whatever you're interested in, and that's what we kind of promote through the kind of school theories that we're building, not necessarily even building, but studying on. Kids know who they are, okay? They come in with language, right? Have you ever asked yourself, how does a baby know what's funny? You see these like newborns just smiling, right? What do they laugh? What's so funny? They don't know any language, right? They're thinking in images. They're thinking in vibration. Okay, the language, in a way, kind of dumbs them down, but it gives a way to communicate. And then they indoctrinate them and control them as young as they can. And what we believe is that kids will gravitate towards what they want to learn, and then they'll learn it, right? So if they're interested in things or gaming or coding or, they'll learn the most amazing things because of interest, not because of force. And I've never been so naive as to think that children aren't smarter than me. In a way, or children are smarter than the teacher. And that's why they call that ADD, right? Okay, the children's are a supercomputer. They can think of this. They can look outside. They can read this. They can do all these things at once. But they got to dumb down and think of one thing at a time because that's all their teacher can do. So let's drug them and let's call it ADD. All right, so kids, just like a stone, they say the sculpture's already in the stone. Kids know who they are. They know what they want. You're there to facilitate their life and visit with them, give them ways to cope, tell them how to raise their frequency and their energy. Don't abuse them by making them be what your mother thinks they should be, or your dad, or your teacher, or your book, or your politician, or your doctor. Show them how to research the stuff themselves and decide for themselves. Show them how to discern. Show them how to think. Okay? Having them memorize some stupid shit about Columbus doesn't help them think. It's fearful. It's conforming. And that's kind of what it was for me. And it led into, police. Like, I had experiences in my 20s. Everything happened in my 20s, but later, but I guess this is when I first remember it, but I didn't have good experiences with the police. And then later in life, when I started writing about corruption and stuff, like, it's not, to me, that system of authority that's always there, and I'm from some of my friends used to say the Nancy Reagan era of dare to stay off drugs, right? They could give you Valium, they could give you all of their man-made drugs, but you couldn't use any medicinal drugs that opened mind altering, because that was considered drugs and you'd be beaten and imprisoned, and you couldn't use like black salve or different healing things, because then you'd be imprisoned for that too, okay, because they wanted to control you, okay. And you're a host for a parasite, okay. Those voices inside you are parasites. They said in my last video, when I dry fasted, I realized that those voices stopped, okay. Own the thought. That's why it's so important to go, gosh, I got this emotion. What belief would I have to have that emotion? And then you realize it's not your fucking belief. It's the evil parasites inside of you trying to do your thinking for you. Okay. All right. So, the Anunnaki, Michael Tellinger, Toroidal field, the human Torridial field, the your biofield, plasma healing. This is all, plasma. Again, I'm all over the map, but I seen this video the other day, freaking awesome. I guess they killed the guy, because they always kill the guy that finds out the stuff. You know how that goes. And he had, it was a video about, he was underwater, and he saw a lake. And then the water in the lake was lapping the shore, but he was already underwater. So, it's fascinating, right? So, water within water, which is just kind of plasma, right? And ether. And then a lot of the movies show stuff like this, right? Like Aquaman, where they're breathing underwater. And because if we can convince ourselves that we can breathe underwater, we can. 100% convince yourself. I can't. Like, I'm not going to convince myself of that, because my programming is just too much there. But whatever they can program you to believe and you buy into, that's what you create in the world for them. Okay, they take your thoughts, they take their fear, they create a world for them. And who are they? Who are the proverbial they? Anyway, I'm going to jump to another topic here. I was really into, check out this, the Irish origins of Dracula, right? People that are immortal, okay? The Irish origin of the Bible and Tartaria. The Irish and Phoenician language, the original language of Ireland that they stopped because it was coded, okay? And in North America, apparently, they wiped out the Indians or whoever First Nations was actually here. After they wiped everybody out, they kind of created this in their little chemistry set. But taking the language is important, because the language is coded, right? And it brings in the magic. It brings in your power. So they took the language, and the original Irish language. So research some stuff on that. And we're going to talk about a lot more of this stuff. But these are just, basically they're just keywords for you to go down these rabbit holes yourself if you're interested in. It's very exciting to me. It makes life matter. It turns you away from, what they're trying to create to be their world. Their latest narrative for their latest story has nothing to do with me, and it never has. And sometimes when I get caught up in it, I play their game, I sign their paperwork, I get their licensing, I do their stupid dumb shit. Then I go back to my supernatural world, where I can see the grid, and I can see the magic, and I can see the ether, and I can travel around, astral travel. Oh, that reminds me. You heard of the gateway experience? Okay, Robert Monroe, astral traveling stuff. These different studies on the gateway experience was pretty cool. That was frequency stuff, but also I was reading parts of it tonight. I might read some more of that on video sometime, but there's so much magical stuff, right? The Philadelphia experience, I'm not saying that was magical, but I've studied all this stuff, and now the Tartarian information kind of brings it all into focus. That we already had all the technology, we had all the stuff, and we used it for love, we used it for joy, and then we were stripped of it all and put in hell, right? And I'm not saying that in a negative way, because if we believe it's hell, it's hell. But like on Earth, it's like no matter what you do, you couldn't really get ahead, right? And charging you all this money for electricity, right? And all these empty buildings, and people are at work. I remember, I've never been one to have a traditional job, didn't really like those sort of things. I still work 20 hours a day, but I'll do it on my own, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I walk through the neighborhoods, right, when everybody's at work. And I've done this through every one of the decades, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, just going, this is Armageddon. right? The workforce is Armageddon. Because they're paying all this money, all these mortgages, all these heating and cooling, pets, all this stuff to have a life, and they're at work, and there's nobody on the sidewalks, there's nobody in their yards, there's just me walking around the neighborhoods like Armageddon had happened, but really they're all at work. They're all stuck in the freeway where the parasites are feeding on their emotions, okay? And that's what they do in big stadiums too, right? So if your team loses or your team wins, you still have it on both sides, right? They feed off of both sides. Reminds me of Monsters Incorporated. They fed off the kids' fear. Okay, the human being the battery they fed off of by the fear they enacted. Check out The Dark Crystal, you know, and that's about androchrome and that essence that they're taking. I went on a whole other direction. But if you can keep coming back to center, and controlling your own thoughts and keep refocusing your thoughts on what you prefer, then you stop feeding them. Okay? And you know, harvesting like Monsters Incorporated, at the end, they had a twist, right, where laughter created more electricity. So this cartoon was, you know, the real deal, right? So they're going in, they're scaring the child, and they're getting this fear. They're getting this battery, and this is feeding the bad guys, right? The parasites. And then at the end, it's about, well, laughter, joy feeds it way more, right? So they could have way more electricity, way more energy from laughter and joy. But the bad guys couldn't, when they took over all the cathedrals and everything on the ley lines, they couldn't use joy because they didn't want us to be happy and to be healthy. They wanted us to lean on them and be fed off of them, but they still wanted to use the grid to harvest our energy. So they did it through fear. They didn't get as much energy as joy, right, and love and laughter, ha, and singing and dancing. They just sit you in the chairs and they have you do the mass and they have you eat their weird little things, right? And that's why, I know this seems like a tangent, but it's not. They put all the aborted fetuses in things like Pepsi. If you don't know this, research the aborted fetuses that they use to put into different food products. Why? Flavor enhancers is what they're called, or whatever. Why? Okay, now, all of this is about what they're doing to feed the parasites, and the parasites they put in you. Okay, research the black goo, research the Magellans and how to get rid of them. They come in the nanos, graphene, graphites, research all that. Okay, these are rabbit holes for you to go down another day, because I can't say it all. Okay, so I guess that's all I'll say for this video. Except for, I love you motherfuckers, okay? And if you love Brother Jesus and you feel like you are aligned with the power of the living God and you consider yourself a Christian and you don't like me cussing, I don't know what to say about that. I can't help it. I try to go, good gosh darn, then I just don't. But you have the power of the living God in every single thought you have. You are an electromagnetic being. And every thought you have is a vibration that goes out. Electromagnetic in your field and out. It's like the scout. It goes out and it gets something and it brings it back and it calls it your world. And that is the power of the living God. And that is what Brother Jesus came here to teach you. But they were hijacked by the demons at the Catholic Church. Now, the Catholic Church being the biggest one. If you consider yourself a Christian, you want to be like Brother Jesus. He came here to teach you of your powers. Okay, and in order to be in your power, you have to be doing what you want and what you prefer. You can't constantly having someone feeding off of your fear, someone herding you around. They are on the crazy train and they are not going to change. We have long passed that time where we're going to wake these motherfuckers up, okay? Save your motherfucking self. That's how we raise the vibration. You can't help them. Okay, the crazy train is going down the tracks billions of miles an hour right now. You can stand in front of it and say, you need to come to God. You need to know there's this. The train's going to hit you. You're going to be well, we won't even go there. But right now, it's amping up more and more, folks. Stay in your motherfucking lane. Get off the tracks, okay? Go down to the river and have a picnic. Go to the beach. Watch a funny show. Laugh with your lover, okay? Ignore their crazy train because it's going to get more and more violent. But the wonderful place is that all you got to do is step right off the tracks. Like that, right? Don't engage with them. That time is past, okay? They're possessed, okay? They have to go through this trauma. They have to go through this, what if I was wrong? My whole world's upside down. I've been lied to. Nothing's as it seems, okay? So get out of their way. And then we're getting that red pill ourselves with the Tartarian information, right? With the oh my goodness, I got to tell you this. So, we've always known that there's aliens, right? There's other life. We're interdimensional. We're all this stuff. Interesting in the Tartarian stuff, they talk about the Greys and being men and stuff. I'm so excited to tell you something, and then I forgot about it. Okay, the aliens. Oh, so do you ever watch that guy? It's MMB33 something or other, Sky Phenomena on YouTube. And the last couple months, I think, there's been 3 times, I think, he's shown these giant birds, okay? He says, he likes to say, so that he don't get kicked off YouTube, he likes to say, well, I don't know what they are, think for yourself, whatever you think they are. But it's so exciting because they're like giant birds, okay? Some of them are just black and shadowy. Some of them you look down and then they're white, okay? So you got the full bird wings open. This last one was 3 of them. And you can measure trees by their shadow, right? You take these certain measurements from photos, the tree aerial photos, and you can measure the height and the width of the tree. So he did that, and he found that the wingspan was like 20, 30 feet of these things, okay? So I thought, oh, that's cool. The dragons are back, right? Or whatever. And people have been seeing them all over. But these, and I mix this with the Tartarian information, my own discernment, and my own excitement, and it feels like they're angels, right? Or whatever these flying beings were. And if you look at the Tartarian stuff, I mean, they were creating all kinds of stuff of prototypes before they created us or whatever. We are magnificent technology. Own your motherfucking technology and use it for yourself. Don't let them hijack it anymore. And so I'm so excited about these beings. Like, are they dragons, right? They have this full wingspan and it's open. And so are they birds? No, because they're just too big, and they're being caught on the NASA cameras, the Sky Cam, the Google photos. They're finding them all kinds of places now. Plus, we've probably moved into another reality and where there's more of these. But check these out. Check out that guy, Sky Phenomena. It's MM and then BB, and there's like a 3 or something in it. It just really feels like the angels are here, right? You call them the giants, call them the Tartarians, call them Anunnaki, call them Nephilim. I don't know. I don't know what all this stuff is. I just know what feels and vibrates good to me and what doesn't. And that's all you have. What you prefer and what you don't. And when something comes up and it feels like something you don't prefer or feels weird, it is so important to say, what belief must I have to feel that emotion? Because then you know whether it's yours or some parasite that's inside of you, which could be, you could call it programs, triggers, your operating system, parasite, whatever you want to call it, okay? All right. So check that out. And it's been just wonderful talking to you. And bring the power of the living God into your life right now by owning your own thoughts, by being Christ-like, okay? Bringing the Christ consciousness to you. Talk to Brother Jesus. Talk to your guides. Make your intention be known, okay? Do not pretend to be someone you're not, or you're going to create health issues, stress, depression, pain, okay? Every morning when you wake up, get inside of your body. Feel wherever you can feel. Your tailbone, visualize a ball of light, and bring it up your tailbone, okay? Visualize energy in your heart and bring up your Torridial field. Bring energy up from Mother Earth. Make sure that you're in your body before you get up. Okay, because then you're subject to someone else's whims, especially when you're like, wake up and there might be a text from your lover or a text from work or text from God knows what. and it affects you, or some news feed, and then you get stressed out, and that creates your resonance for the day, because your lover will say, oh, I need your attention, or why didn't you do this, or there'll be some weird news, and that'll have a certain vibration to it, and if you think about it even for a second, it resonates, and it creates more of that in your field, and then that attracts more of that to you. But you can get in your body first, and run your energy for yourself first before you do any of that. Then when these people interact with you, you're doing it from a place of wholeness within yourself, your own preference, your own energy field, and you're not resonating off of theirs. Okay? All right, so check out all this stuff. Email me if you want, reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com. Please consider donating to our church at youchurchoflight@gmail.com. It's our PayPal Gmail. And God bless you all. Goddess bless you all. And I just love you. Bye for now. No, really, bye for now.